Hello students, welcome to this second session on Introduction to Technical Writing. In the first session, we discussed what is technical writing, difference between technical and literary writings, and principles and importance of technical writings. In this session, we will discuss the writing process for technical documents and essentials of technical writings. So let's move on to writing process for a technical document. If you are preparing a technical report, a manual, or a proposal, or any other technical document, you must ensure to follow the writing process that we're going to discuss here. There are basically four stages in the writing process for any technical document. The first stage is pre-writing stage, second is the drafting stage, then revising stage, and last one is then editing stage. Let's have a look at pre-writing stage. That is a kind of a preparatory stage before writing any technical document. One must follow these guidelines. So for preparing any technical document, you need to have a topic. So choose a topic for preparing a technical document. Then determine the purpose and audience and tone of your technical document. It is the purpose which defines the content of your document. Suppose I'm talking about a machine, a washing machine. So if I'm giving information about washing machine, the points that I'm going to include will be different from if I want to, instruct someone to use a washing machine. So the content is going to vary as per the purpose. The second thing is about the audience. Your audience is important in a technical document. They should be able to understand your technical document even without your presence. So a technical document needs to be self-explanatory. It should include the content or information that your audience needs or requires to carry out the purpose that you want your technical document to serve. Then explore the topic. For writing any technical document, you need to have information. So the information can come from the primary sources like interviews, surveys, or experiments, but or personal observations. But you also can collect information from the secondary sources like library resources and internet. So after that, if your information is collected, now it's time for you to draft an outline. An outline helps you to decide the scope of your technical document, that what you're going to include and exclude from your technical document depending on your topic, purpose, and your audience. So once this preparation is done, we move on to the second stage of writing a technical document, that is drafting. In drafting, first thing that you should create a title, an appropriate title for your technical document. A title should convey what the technical document is all about. Then choose an appropriate layout. See, if you're writing a proposal or a report, the the design and the design of the document and the layout will be different. It won't be the same. So choose an appropriate layout depending on the kind of technical document you are preparing. So there will be a standard, a conventional format for each of the technical document, and you should be aware of it. Next, last one is write the first draft. Once now you have your points to be included, you have the information, you have the layout or the format of writing. Now start writing the first draft. After your first draft is ready, I would suggest take a break of 1 or 2 days. That will give a new perspective while doing the third stage of revising and the fourth stage of editing. In revising, we basically correct the content problems. We check for clarity, emphasis, and unity in ideas. So the content, if content corrections is required, we do the revising for it. Once the content is corrected, is revised, and we go to the next stage, that is called editing. In editing, we find and correct errors in grammar, spelling, style, word choice, and usage and punctuation. So I usually suggest that you should do the editing yourself as well as from a third party. That will give you a better chance of preparing error-free technical document. So these are the four stages of technical document we need to follow or while preparing any of the technical document. All right. Now moving on to the essentials of technical writing. As a technical writer, we need to have certain skills and knowledge to prepare a technical document. That's what I listed here. The first thing, a technical writer must have strong technical knowledge and skill. Without this, you won't be able to write a very strong document. uh, a person like me who comes from a non-technical background cannot write a technical document or may have limitations for preparing an technical document due to lack of technical knowledge and skills. Second is you should do the research for technical writing. Sometimes the information is not readily available. In that case, you need to create a kind of information by your own way. So a research is necessary for a technical writer. Next, a technical writer needs to be fluent in digital tools. Preparation of technical documents require a lot of designing and formatting strategies, maybe in terms of the graphs, charts, etc. So, a technical writer needs to be good in using digital tools that generally go in preparation of any document. And last one is a technical writer should have effective writing skill and expository techniques. So these are the some essentials of a good technical writer. And I'm going to discuss a little bit more into detail about expository techniques that you can use for technical documents. So here is the list of expository techniques for technical documents. The first one is the narration. Second, description. Third, process description, analogy, persuasion, comparison and contrast, and last is the classification. In narration, narration tells about a succession of an event. So narration is like a storytelling where you narrate the incident or an event in sequence. So it's mostly used for how a project takes shape. So you can use the narration style. Next, it follows chronological order. That's very obvious when you're telling a story. Next, it serves an explanatory aim, that it explains that how something has taken place. So you can use following styles in narration. We call it as moving backward to explain the cause of an event, or jump forward to identify its ultimate effect. So you say what has happened and you go back to find out what is the cause, what has happened, and what will be its effect. So it's moving backward and moving backward and forward. You should use WH questions like what happened, when did it happen, to use the narration style in a very simple way. Now, moving on to the next style that you can use for technical documents is the description. Description is a way of writing about the way things appear or are constructed or act. So, if you want to show someone how a particular object looks like, then we use a description style. There are three types of description styles that we can use. One is the external description, which makes the reader visualize and recognize the thing or object being described. It focuses on the shape and the color of the object or on the arrangement in space. The second type of description is an analytical or technical description, which makes your reader understand the structure of an object. Then, evocative description recreates impression that a particular person, place, or animal has on you. It evokes visual effect and can appeal to all the other senses. You may use flashback or flash forwards to achieve the kind of appeal you want your readers to have. Now, moving on to next style, that is process description. A process description is to explain how something works chronologically or spatially as the steps in process occur. So it's telling somebody how a process takes place. We can use graphics like flowcharts and diagram to support the process description. There are three types of process description normally we use. First one is audience and purpose oriented process description. It helps the audience to use a device, understand a new scientific or technical theory, or choose between alternative or actions. The second type of process description is for the potential customer. It includes technical manuals, catalog, and instructions sheets which accompany most of the devices used on the job. It is useful for buying or using a device for a potential customer. The third one is a process description for a peers. It explains a new and specific operations on the job, especially if you're new to a particular company and you're still learning on to the new operations that are carried in your company. The process descriptions for peers can help you. They're called as a work manuals, so they can guide you in carrying out the specific operations. Now, moving on to the next style of expository style that you can use is the analogy. Analogy is a type of composition in which one idea, process, or thing is explained by comparing it to something else. Like you explain an unfamiliar thing with the familiar one. So, suppose you don't know someone, then you can just compare it with someone you're known to. That is called as analogy, and it is commonly used to make a complex process or idea easier to understand for your reader. So, or to make a proper perspective or an argument, argue a particular point. Analogy helps your reader to understand something abstract, vast, and specialized by comparing it to something compact and concrete. Next technique is persuasion. Persuasion is to convince or influence your reader. Now, it also can be used to refute the other side on the issue. That is the kind of you want to argue the other side on an issue, then you can use the persuasion technique. For persuasion requires special attention to the reader's need. You can argue visibly, you can convince affect visibly more if you can pay attention to the reader's needs. If you argue, if you convince, keeping in mind the needs of your reader. All right. Now, coming to the next technique is comparison and contrast. Uh, Certain writers do use comparison and contrast in technical documents. A comparison and contrast is a useful technique in writing a proposal. Comparison makes the writer identify similar characteristics of two or more subjects that are regarded are different, whereas contrast identifies different characteristics of two or more subjects that are regarded and usually thought to be similar. So that is one way of presenting your data. The next technique that you can use is the classification. Classification is the arrangement of the objects, people, and ideas with shared characteristics into classes or groups. It is used to organize information into groups and categories. It requires consistency in classifying each category, demonstrates some purpose of classification, and include all major categories, and last arrange the categories and subcategories in an order. So it depends on the kind of content you have. You can make a choice from the narration style to the classification and contrast or analogy. You can draw an analogy in the technical document you are preparing. So you can use different styles of writing. Now, coming to the end part, with this we come to an end part of the session on introduction to technical writings. We have discussed what is technical writing, importance of technical writing, and difference between technical and literary writings, principles, process, and essentials of technical writing. I hope things are very clear, and thank you so much for patient hearing.